Welcome to How to Survive with Danielle and Kristine. We're here to help you get through the catastrophes that could kill you.
Avalanches, bear attacks, knife fights.
And the stuff that really keeps you up at night.
Texting mishaps.
Sexting mishaps.
Being catfished.
I'm really worried about getting osteoporosis.
Me too.
My bones are like chalk.
I'm getting you a glass of milk right now.
Should we just play the song?
Yeah, okay.
Ground is shaking under our feet. Mountains on fire, flooding in the street. Can't breathe the air, can't fight the feeling. Gobbling down Xanax ain't the way to be dealing. Gotta do better than just getting high. We gotta stick together if we're gonna survive. Ooh, how to survive. Ooh, how to survive.
Hello and welcome to How to Survive. I'm Danielle Koenig.
I'm Kristine Kimmel.
Yeah, we thought we'd introduce ourselves because apparently people, i.e. my father, are getting our voices confused, and we should probably address who we are and what our last names are.
Yes, my voice, I think, is different than yours.
Yeah, it's like I've said before, it's lower and more appropriate for a grown woman.
I wouldn't say that. I think you have a very womanly voice.
I hate my voice so
Really?
much. Well, I'm just always stuffed up and I don't know what else to do about it. I mean, I don't know how many allergy medications I can take before I'm no longer stuffed up.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I don't recommend you use a neti pot.
Oh, for God's sake. I've tried. Okay. So I've done. Why? Why do you say that? I've done the neti pot.
It's actually based on some things we're going to talk about later, having to do with bacteria.
Oh, great.
Oh,
yeah, because I don't clean things well. So
and shooting water into your nasal cavities.
Well, we bought this. My husband bought this sort of like advanced version where it's electric.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I could not get it to work properly. And he just kept laughing at me and grabbing it from me and showing me, see, it works like this. I'm like, great, it's not working when I do it. So he supposedly bought it for me. You know when I don't know if your husband does this, but and it's sweet, but he buys things for me that I never asked nor wanted.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's happened.
It's for you.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. But it's not helpful and I don't know how to make it work. So it's just kind of sitting there now. But I've tried the other one.
Jimmy.
The solution kind.
Okay.
Where it's just like a bottle. But
yes.
You know what? I don't wash that well either. So
then I'm going to say don't do it.
Okay.
And you must, I'm going to say this to the listening audience.
Yeah.
Use distilled or boiled water. And it's a big pain in the ass. So just find
What is distilled water?
You can buy it at the store and it says on the front, distilled water.
Right, because when our babies were babies, didn't we use distilled water for formula or something?
I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't remember.
Did I use formula? No, I didn't really even use formula, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
I did, but I think I don't recall. This was so long ago.
Well, I know I just ogled a baby in the cafe.
I wouldn't even know how to hold a baby now. It's do you pick it up by its feet? Do you?
I think so. I think it's changed, and now you do pick it up by its feet.
Yeah.
Like when we were, we used to hold it like a football.
Yes.
Now you hold it upside
down by its feet.
Yeah. Like you're draining
like a
pig
bat
or a bat. Either way. Yeah, I think that's what the CDC recommends now,
and the
pediatric society. I'm sure it's a society.
The Society of Peds.
That doesn't sound good. The Society of Peds. I was going to say they wear dark masks, but if it's the Society of Peds, they for sure wear dark masks and gather and have candles. And
yes,
they for sure hold babies by their feet.
Yeah, don't join that club. You know what it is, though? This is a normal progression of parenthood, which is you forget every phase after you exit it. One, because it was so traumatic, usually. Yeah. But also your brain needs to make space for the new stuff you have to figure out.
Yes.
I think you remember the horrifying story. You remember the things that terrified you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I locked myself out of the house and they're still inside.
Right.
And how do I get back in? Or oh, he took one of my pills and I have to go to the emergency room and make sure.
Did all these things happen,
yes.
Chris? Did they really?
Yeah.
You locked the babies inside the house?
They locked me out.
Wait, did they crawl one on top of each other?
Yeah, they stacked themselves in a Matryoshka doll fashion.
And did they wear a trench coat?
Yeah.
Pretend they were one big person?
Yep. Exactly.
How did they lock you out of the house?
I think I went outside probably to chase after our insane dog. This is when we were in an apartment in like West Hollywoodish area. I went outside and maybe the door closed behind me. It was like a self-locking door. And then I was outside and then I couldn't get back in. I remember I was like, turn the knob.
Wait, how old were they at this point?
A year old.
Oh, okay.
And they were in there and I couldn't get back in.
Were they laughing at you? Were they pointing?
They were just like, mama, mama, mama. And I was like, turn the knob,
So what did you do?
I think they figured it out.
Really?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
My children are advanced.
They are geniuses.
But I do want to, before we get started, say thank you to all of our listeners.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And all our new listeners. Maybe this is the first time tuning in. Thank you everyone who's been so supportive. And I also want to just give a quick shout out to our producer, Garen.
Yes, Garen Cockrell.
Oh, wait a second. I don't know if I should do this on the air, but I don't know if you know this, Garen, but my kids have a nickname for you. And it is Garden Squirrel.
What? What?
It's Garden Squirrel.
Why?
Because at some point we were having a text exchange and my kids looked at my phone and they were like, are you texting with Garden Squirrel? Because they just looked at your name quickly and thought it said Garden Squirrel.
Oh my God, that's the cutest thing I've ever... Is that something in the gay community? Are you a garden squirrel?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
This does...
Which I'm assuming has something to do with saving nuts. I don't know.
Maybe. It does come full circle, though, because once in one of my yearbooks, they said my name was Garden.
Really?
It said Garden Cockrell.
Wait, you mean in the printed...
In the printed yearbook, it said
Karen,
Garden Cockrell. Yeah.
Your life is just a series of
misfortunes and...
humiliations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Garden Cockrell.
Garden Cockrell.
That sounds like a poem, doesn't it?
It does. It
How
does.
does your cockle shells and
Garden grow?
garden grow? Yeah.
Well, they were like, please tell him his nickname is Garden Squirrel.
I love it.
And that's how they see you.
That
and
is
I even
adorable.
said, maybe we'll get to meet him someday. And they were like,
you're famous.
you're famous.
I love that this is the thing they agree upon.
Yes.
Yeah, they're fighting all the time, but they can agree that Garen is Garden Squirrel.
Yep.
I've brought peace to your house.
You have. You are a peacemaker. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's Garden Squirrel.
I love
over
it.
there.
I love it.
And they're probably going to start drawing pictures of you as a squirrel. So get ready for some
God,
art.
fan art.
I love it. I can't wait.
Are you ready for today's
I
topic?
am 100% ready.
Speaking of kids, if you didn't already know this is not a show for children, particularly this episode.
Oh, now you've got my interest peaked.
Today we're going to talk about flesh-eating disease.
Yes.
How to survive it. And it's going to get a little bit sexy.
I have to tell you something.
Please tell me everything.
I am a little bit fascinated with things that can go wrong with the human body
Good.
and like weird things that can grow. And like, you know, when there's like a tree person.
Oh, yeah.
Like they can grow stuff on their, not can.
Yes.
It's not a power.
Whoa, what branches?
Can't do it at will.
Oh, that's even better.
But I am obsessed with this kind of thing. And like when I was pregnant, we went to the Mutter Museum.
Oh, I don't know it.
It's in Philadelphia. And it's a museum of like odd, strange human disease and like, they'll have like, a fetus in a jar that's like got, tail and wings or something. You know what I mean? Not like that because it's real, but that kind of thing.
Like the twin that absorbs.
Yes.
That kind of
I'm
stuff?
kind of obsessed with that kind of thing. So I watched Dr. Pimple Popper once.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I liked it.
Okay.
So I won't watch it anymore because that doesn't seem like something I should be.
You shouldn't indulge this, maybe?
Right.
Okay.
So whereas I saw what I think was a mouse the other day outside of our house, or a rat, which my son, in all his generosity, insisted to me was a possum. Tiny
possum.
I flipped out. I really flipped out. But
and it was only one. Okay. Wasn't a group of.
Nope. Just a little guy making his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down the.
I mean, it was probably a rat. Because mice are really tiny.
Yeah, it wasn't a mouse.
Okay.
It wasn't a mouse.
Yeah.
But it had big ears, which made me think maybe it was a possum. I only saw it from the back. In any case, that kind of thing, flips me out. But I'm a little bit like really into weird things that can happen with the human skin. So I feel like this is my episode.
You are going to thrive.
Okay.
Okay. So there are many strains of bacteria that can cause flesh-eating disease, also known as necrotizing fasciitis.
Ooh. I even like the name.
But most cases are caused by a bacteria called group A strep, which you've probably heard of.
Yes.
Or Streptococcus pyogenes.
Yes.
They're very rare. It spreads quickly and can cause death. Also quickly. Flesh-eating infections have been described as early as the 5th century BC.
Ooh.
Based on written accounts by Hippocrates. Am I saying that name right?
Hippocrates.
Thank you, Hippocrates. It's like I know how to say it, but then when I see the word, I say it the exact opposite way. So this has been around.
Okay.
It's not some new disease.
Old school.
It's old school
disease.
Okay. Would you like to hear some signs and symptoms?
Of course I would.
Yeah, because you want to know.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you're not going to mix it up with something else. It's not one of those things where you're like, is this a mosquito bite that's just a little swollen?
Well, I was going to say, is this like a staph infection or is this different?
Well, a staph infection is part of that same bacteria world, but this is like a staph infection gone way wrong.
Would you say that it was a staph infection on steroids? And then would I leave the show immediately for you saying that? Yes and yes.
Correct.
Okay.
People with this flesh-eating infection know something is wrong because of extreme pain in the area. The infection generally begins at a surgical wound or because of some kind of trauma.
Okay.
Sometimes without an obvious break in the skin.
Oh. Okay.
There's severe pain, swelling, fever, sometimes confusion. I assume in your brain, not at the area.
Right.
The skin in the infected area can become tight and discolored from the swelling.
Okay.
You're not going to be like, you're going to know. I think it's like very clear something is wrong. Okay. Unless treatment is initiated promptly, shock and death usually follow in a short time.
Shock and death. Okay.
Shock and death.
All right.
Okay. Gear up for this next part.
All right.
Okay. I'm not about to show you any pictures.
Okay.
People. I can't.
No, you can't.
But also maybe don't Google it if you're very sensitive. Because I've seen things I can't unsee.
Oh, I'm going to be Googling this. Too sweet.
This might be a good time to bite down on something. The most commonly affected areas are the limbs, and perineum.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Why?
Okay. Oh, so when it is, did I say that right?
Perineum. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do men have perineums?
Yeah.
Is a perineum?
It's that area.
It's the taint.
It's
right?
the taint.
Okay.
It ain't this and it ain't.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think
I mean, Karen, laugh.
Oh my gosh.
It's so dumb stuff, right? Can just really
squirrel.
get you. So.
Oh, garden squirrel.
Also, and when it's
so weird that it would be the limbs and the perineum.
I know. Well, I think
because there's so many nerve endings or something.
So when it's the perineum or the external genital area, it's called Fournier's gangrene.
Okay,
it's got
sounds really fancy.
It's French.
It means your vagina's about to explode.
Yes. And when I Googled that, that's when I was like, you know what? I need a break to look at some stuff on Poshmark.
I've got to look at some kittens playing for a second.
I've got to look at clothes because I've seen some things.
Oh, no.
I've been to war. Okay. So here's some risk factors, which is maybe also why it gets down there. I don't know. Poor immune function, diabetes, cancer, obesity, alcoholism, IV drug use, and peripheral artery disease.
But you said it's extremely rare, but all these things can lead to this?
All those things are risk factors. Like, usually they're comorbid.
Okay.
So most people who are developing
flesh-eating
disease often have something else going on. between 55 and 80% of cases involve more than one type of bacteria. MRSA is involved in up to a third of cases, which you guys have heard of, right?
Yes.
MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus.
Okay, so this is what I was getting at. So that's where the staph, I'm assuming, comes from.
The MRSA, I read up on this. I'm not going to get in. That's a whole other topic, but it is a antibiotic resistant infection that is very contagious. People often get it in hospitals or in settings where there are a lot of like gyms where people are coming in a lot of contact with each other. And, you can make yourself a little bit safer from it by like being very clean, washing your hands a lot. But obviously, if you're just put in a hospital, that's the hospital's job, is to keep a very clean setting. That's not something you can necessarily help. But it's common in a lot of us have MRSA in our bodies, like in our mucous membranes already. But most of us aren't going to get sick from it.
Okay. And do people say MRSA, or did I make that up?
It's like Verbo.
Verbo,
right? VRBO. Have you noticed instead of VRBO, people say Verbo now?
I don't know either. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry. VRBO is like Airbnb. It's another home renting service.
Oh, okay.
And I started noticing people were just saying Verbo, and I'm like, what?
Up is down, black is white.
I'm not cool. What happened?
But do people say MRSA, or did I make that up?
I like it.
No,
You've heard
it's
that.
It's a thing.
Okay,
I could be saying it wrong by saying the letters.
I think they used to say that on Full House, right? MRSA.
Really? That was a thing back then? Or are you talking about Fuller House?
No, do
all the characters on Fuller House get MRSA?
That's a really Full House.
And it's a very special 2-part episode of Full House. Everyone gets MRSA.
Dickhead gets MRSA. I don't know the character's
names. He has
names.
to get his arm amputated.
And then he can't play the drums with the Beach Boys.
He can't do the puppet. Which one does the puppet?
Yeah, the other one. Does he do a puppet? Does Dave Coulier actually do puppets?
The one in the You Oughta Know song.
Voices, yeah.
We're going down
many rabbit holes.
Right now.
I will never get over the fact that
that's who that song is about.
I know, because it's the most ridiculous person.
You just can't imagine anybody getting that upset over him. Or having any kind of sexual feelings for him.
100%.
Right?
That's why it's so weird. That's why it's so funny. It's just like any man could screw over any woman is the lesson from that. Like you can, fucking Dave Coulier can upset you that much.
Yeah. Okay. So, is it treatable?
Apparently, if you're quick, right?
Well, yes, but usually if it's, gotten to the point where the skin has begun to be eaten.
So it's being eaten by the... She just gave me the creepiest look. Like she was going to eat my skin. So it's being eaten by the bacteria.
Yeah.
Right? It's literally being...
It's flesh-eating disease.
Right. So your skin, like, can you see bone and stuff?
Yeah, I've seen holes.
You've seen holes. See, this is the kind of stuff I wouldn't mind seeing, but show me 3 cats and I'll throw up.
Screaming.
Yep.
We all have our strange fears. I'm not saying your fear is strange. No judgment.
I 100% think
I'm saying
strange.
we just...
Yeah.
Okay. Surgical debridement.
What?
It's called debridement, which is cutting away the affected tissue and intravenous antibiotics.
Oh, got it.
Delays in surgery are associated with a much higher risk of death. So don't schedule that surgery for like after your trip to Cancun.
Yeah, do it before
you got a hole in your leg. Yeah. You want to get that taken care of. Despite high quality treatment, the risk of death is between 25 and 35%.
Oh, actually lower than I thought.
Okay. So you want to get this taken care of. Don't wait. Don't wait.
This is not elective.
No. So there's been a bigger type in the news lately of a flesh-eating type of disease that I want to talk about. And it's called Vibrio vulnificus.
Ooh.
These are the bacteria that can live in lakes, oceans, swimming pools, and even hot tubs.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know much about these, Danielle.
About Vibrio?
Yes.
No, I don't know much.
You're not reading about these all the time.
No.
So, okay. A lot of people are familiar or aware that you can get them from eating raw or undercooked oysters and other seafood, which I didn't know. And I'm not a big eating raw, undercooked oysters
Aren't
person.
oysters always served raw? I don't know.
I think you can have them cooked, but
I guess if they're in a soup, they're cooked.
yes, but like, you know, when people eat oysters on the
Yeah, I
half
don't
shell.
get it. It's
you can
repulsive.
get it. You can get it that way.
Really?
But you can also get Vibrio infection through an open wound. This can happen when a wound comes in contact with raw or undercooked seafood. Its juices. Its juice newtons. Drippings or with salt water or brackish water.
Okay.
Do you know what brackish water is?
I think brackish water is when it's brown because, or still, it's brown but for a bad reason.
Okay, you're wrong.
Okay.
But I was... I also didn't know. I looked it up. It's a mixture of fresh and salt water, often found where the river meets the sea.
I didn't know that. That is interesting. Okay.
And I was like, that's so poetic sounding, where the
It
river
does.
meets the sea.
Sound poetic.
It's so familiar because it's a song by John Denver and the Muppets.
Is it? Mm-hmm. But it's not on the Christmas album, so I don't know.
I think it is actually on the
It is?
Christmas album.
The River Meets the Sea?
Yeah, where the river meets the sea. But also don't go into that water if you have a wound or you might get flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah. That's how he died, right? John Denver? He died of flesh-eating bacteria?
Yes, and so
From a
that's
helicopter or something?
that's why he couldn't fly that helicopter.
That's right.
Because his arms were...
And he was
full of
busy
holes.
working the Muppets, and it's hard to...
He had a lot going on.
He had so much to juggle.
Okay. Vibrio vulnificus can cause life-threatening wound infections. Many people with this infection require intensive care or limb amputations, and about 1 in 5 people with this infection die, sometimes within a day or two of becoming ill.
So this is the kind you can get either from raw
Yes.
fish or from an open wound in which fish juices get
Yes,
in?
or brackish water or the sea.
Brackish water.
So,
Or the sea.
yes. Okay, how can I prevent this? If I have a wound. Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
If you have a wound, which wound is one of those words that really gives me the chills.
Because it is so evocative of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right. It's something that's open.
Yes.
Yeah.
It freaks me out.
Yeah.
Okay, that includes recent surgery, piercing, or tattoo. That's new, not like your tattoo you got when you were 15 and supposed to be taking a college day in Akron, but instead you went and got a tattoo.
Oh, Chris. What was it of?
It's a Black Panther.
Because of what? What was that symbol?
I thought it looked cool.
Where is it? Did you get it removed?
It's on my back.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah,
I
no.
think I saw it at your wedding because your dress revealed it, right?
It's always good to show off your old teenage Black Panther tattoo at your wedding. Stay out of salt water or brackish water if possible, unless you want to go meet a Muppet.
Yeah.
You just can't help yourself.
You can't.
This includes wading at the beach, dum-dums.
Don't wade at the beach?
Not if you have a wound. Cover your wound with a waterproof bandage if it could come in contact with salt water, brackish water, or raw or undercooked seafood and its juices.
Don't be pouring the juice of your dinner all over your open wound.
Don't serve your oysters on your open
leg.
wound. Hey, who wants to eat oysters off of my recent surgery?
As if oysters couldn't be more repulsive.
I know.
Like, let's combine them with wet Band-Aids. Oh my God. I've never understood the concept of the raw, the oyster, the whole, I don't get it.
And it's also associated with like sex in a way where people are like on a date and they're like, we're going to go eat raw oysters.
Yeah, I think I learned that from Happy Days. I think Marion was trying to seduce. I think it was one of those episodes. Remember, she put on like
The Fonz, she was trying to seduce the Fonz.
No, she was trying to seduce Tom Bosley and Howard Cunningham, and I think she like put on like a Dance of the Seven Veils outfit or something.
That's hilarious.
And I'm having pictures of being very embarrassed by watching her do this, and she was going to feed him raw oysters because it was an aphrodisiac.
Oh,
which was
no.
a big 70s word, aphrodisiac.
Aphrodisiac. What a creepy word.
It is, yeah.
Especially if you're a kid.
Yeah, the whole concept of like food can make you horny is just so, I mean, just silly.
Ugh, okay. I agree. Okay. We're going to cover it with a Band-Aid. We're going to keep it away from juices. This contact can happen during...
That's the next shirt. Let's keep it away from juices.
Keep away from juices. Just in general.
Just in general.
Just in
OJ.
general. Well, you know what?
Clams.
OJ the person and OJ the juice.
Right.
Because it's too much sugar. Eat an orange.
The acid, I wonder if the acid of an orange juice would kill the bacteria.
Pour it into a wound.
It can't be right.
That sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, no swimming, fishing, walking on the beach. Oh, it could also happen when a hurricane or storm surge causes flooding. Think of all that.
Oh, the still water. Okay, so I knew there was something about still water being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was also the name of the band in Almost Famous.
Stillwater? Mm-hmm. Was that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a really, really good time. What's the actor's name?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Wrong. The hot one. Sorry, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
In that movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember. That's one of those movies I don't remember anything about.
That's okay.
Billy Crudup.
Thank you. That was prime Billy Crudup.
Oh, Billy Crudup.
Wash wounds and cuts thoroughly with soap and water, which seems like an obvious thing you should always be doing. Okay. Signs and symptoms. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Watery diarrhea, often accompanied by stomach cramping, nausea, vomiting, and fever. I mean...
Is there such thing as non-watery diarrhea?
That's, yeah.
It's not sort of an oxymoron. Not
it seems like it always is, but I haven't delved into the various levels of diarrhea.
I'm sorry, that's for another show.
I can't wait for that episode.
Okay, so what were the other symptoms?
Stomach cramping, nausea, vomiting, and fever, which often can be things you have when you have food poisoning. But just keep in mind if you're like, you ate oysters maybe, or you were in some brackish water after a hurricane and you were like, hey, I just think I might go wading in this hurricane water.
Right.
And then now I feel really sick and I can't stop throwing up and pooping myself. You might want to get that looked at. Bloodstream infection, fever, chills, dangerously low blood pressure, and blistering skin lesions.
Okay, so this is what I assumed we were getting at because that's how you know something's really going on.
If you have a wound infection, which may spread to the rest of the body, fever, redness, pain, swelling, warmth, discoloration, and discharge.
Oh.
You know, discharge, almost
Never
always the bad thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting discharged from the hospital.
Or the army.
Right.
Because who wants to be there? You know, some people do.
Yeah.
Thank you to our troops.
Shameless. Thank you to our troops.
You know what? I'm glad somebody's doing it. I don't want to. Okay. So, here's how it's diagnosed when they find Vibrio bacteria in the wound, blood, or poop of an ill person. The infection is treated with antibiotics.
Right.
The doctor might need to amputate your leg or your arm to remove the dead or infected tissue.
Oh, my God.
Okay. So, that is Vibrio.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you guys want to hear any more or if you feel done.
No, I can hear more for sure.
Okay, because this is a new thing coming to our country thanks to climate change.
Oh.
I'm going to give you a little story. And it's about a woman named Laura Gaither and her family. In 2018, they went to Panama City Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Where all good things happen in Florida.
100%.
She was rinsing sand off her feet and noticed, some things are biting my legs, these little black bugs. You know what? Oh, my kids have been bitten too. She didn't worry because she was like, I think these are just some sandflies biting my legs. No big deal. It happens at the beach.
Is that a thing, sandflies?
Sandflies are a thing.
I mean, I can picture them. I just didn't know if that's what they're called.
She didn't worry about it because it's like, whatever, some sandflies. Okay. They kind of looked like ant bites or mosquito bites. 2 weeks later, back at home, she noticed that the bites had morphed into small open wounds.
Oh, my God.
Her pediatrician was like, it's eczema. You know how doctors are so great with women.
Wait, the doctor said that open wounds were eczema.
Yeah. Right?
On your feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about eczema, but
I don't think it usually looks like a wound.
I don't think it looks like
an open wound. It usually looks kind of like an itchy redness. Okay. So fuck that dude.
Right.
Eventually, Gaither took her young daughter, whose condition was the most concerning, to the emergency room. They gave her some antifungal and steroid topical creams. Didn't do anything. Oh. So the ulcers kept growing larger and more painful. She started doing her own research because she's a mom.
Yeah.
And learned about a flesh-eating disease called cutaneous leishmaniasis.
Wow.
It can be transmitted to humans through the bite of some sandflies that have been infected by animals, usually rodents.
Oh.
In the U.S., that's how they usually get it. So she learned it's common in tropical and subtropical countries like Brazil, Mexico, and India. She starts reading peer-reviewed papers. She's going online and reading journals because this is what fucking moms have to do.
Right, because
medical professionals are like, nobody's taking me seriously and my kids are in trouble. And she's like, oh, these wounds look a lot like the ones I'm reading about in these peer-reviewed articles, which are these crater-like ulcers covered with a thick yellowish pus.
Jesus.
So she takes these research papers and gets her own doctor to test a biopsy for the leishmaniasis. Those results are inconclusive.
Oh.
So after like 3 months,
Does it say how old this kid is?
I don't know. It didn't say. Okay. After like 3 months, it did clear up.
Oh.
Her daughter was okay, but that's the lengths she had to go to.
So it cleared up without treatment because none of the treatments worked?
Correct.
Oh my
so
God.
in this paper, this was from NPR, I learned that Americans can be exposed to the Leishmania parasite without leaving the country. They're currently endemic in Texas and Oklahoma. Endemic, I had to look that up because I was like, endemic, meaning they exist.
Okay.
In Texas and Oklahoma. New studies suggest they might be present in other states, including Florida. Reported cases in the U.S. are currently negligible, just meaning there aren't enough to say it's here, but it doesn't mean they don't have them.
Right.
They may soon be on the rise. As climate change pushes rodent and sandfly habitat northward, scientists caution that in the future, an increasing number of U.S. residents could be exposed to different varieties of the flesh-eating parasite.
Jesus.
If you want to see pictures of leishmaniasis,
you can see it.
If you want to see pictures of the Fournier's gangrene,
I think,
you're going to see a lot of
just
things.
So people don't think I'm completely repulsive. I think there's a reason why I have an obsession with this stuff. And the reason is that I have, since I was a kid, and it doesn't happen as much anymore, a strange thing where different parts of my face will just swell up for seemingly no reason.
Okay.
So like my eye will just...
Like an allergic reaction kind of thing almost?
Yes. But they've never really nailed it down. So like my lip might swell up. But I've seen people post lines, oh my God, my lips swell up. And it's like even. My lip is like it's like crazy. One side will swell up or my eyeball will swell up. Or I've also had like... like my elbow or my chin.
And you've not been able to connect it to a food you ate or...
Okay, so if I have a cut in my mouth and I have like a pepperoncini, it will 100% happen. Okay. But it's not always because of that. It's not like I'm having a pepperoncini every time and I'm certainly not putting in my eyeball. So it's just been this sort of lifelong... strange
No one's hitting
thing.
you with like a giant cartoon hammer.
It looks like that. I mean, I used to... like people would be a little concerned because it looked crazy.
Wow.
And so I think because that can happen to my own face and body, sometimes I'm just like, wow, it's amazing what the body can do. It's amazing what skin can do. So I'm just kind of like strangely fascinated by it. Yeah.
I don't think, in my opinion, any person would find this crazy or weird. I mean, people are fascinated with serial killers.
Yeah,
people are fascinated with...
Oh my God. Sorry.
I think she's looking at a picture that Garen brought up.
Me. I mean, it looks like special effects makeup. Like there's two holes. You know when like in a cartoon where you look at someone and they become a ham bone?
Yes.
That's what it looks like. I don't even know if a ham bone is what a ham bone is exactly, but
I immediately could
picture what that is.
It's like pink and you can see the bone.
There's just holes. Yeah, I'd rather look at people who look like trees. People with bark skin.
We're gonna have to do an episode on people that look like trees.
Well, Chris, okay, is there more? Because that was
no, I feel like I've exhausted myself.
That was...
And the audience probably, if they're still here.
That was amazing. When we come back, we've just talked about flesh-eating disease.
Yes.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about freshman year.
Cannot
See what we did there? We pulled back muscles making that connection, right? Like
we really did.
We're in traction over making that
I'm going to
connection.
take a pain pill.
Oof. Thanks. We'll be right back. So as promised, Kristine, we talked about...
It's Kristine Kimmel.
We were just talking in the break about how in bad dramas, you do it, Chris.
How they say the first and last name in a dialogue over and over again. It's like, hey, Joe Tucker, I'm going to talk to you right now about how you paralyzed me when you accidentally shot me. And Joe Tucker, I forgive you. I know that you have problems. And I was angry for a long time, Joe Tucker. But I'm not angry anymore, Joe Tucker. It's crazy.
The thing I also really can't stand, and I've talked about this before, but is like when someone will have a whole dialogue and then there'll be a pause in the dialogue and then the person will say, Maybelline. And they'll be like, what's that? Maybelline. That's my middle name. Because it like came up earlier and they wouldn't, I don't even know your middle name.
Yes.
But it's just like, so you just, you're so self-absorbed. You just expect them to know what you're talking about. You're just going to pull something out of the air and talk about it as if you were just mentioning that.
My husband does that all the time.
He does?
I don't know if it's a German thing or if it's that he's watched so many of those shows. He thinks that's...
Now he's talking
He's
like
like, well, I'm not originally from the United States, so maybe he just learned how to be American from watching a lot of bad TV. I have a pet peeve in which people who are on the phone with each other hang up
without saying goodbye.
And never say goodbye.
Drives me insane.
I hate it.
Or I'll pick you up at 8. Or not I'll pick you up at 8, but like, let's have dinner. What do you say, 8 o'clock? No arrangements are made. Yes. I don't know where we're meeting.
We both know we
just know where we're going. Also, why are people eating at 8 o'clock at night in every TV show?
Yes, no one
eats
late. It's so late.
It's not good for your digestive system to eat that late.
And it's like, I'm not going to get home until 10 now.
Yeah, I know, right. And then you're going to get up in the morning and run with your hair down. It's another fucking thing I can't stand in movies.
People, they go for a run and their hair's just flying.
Their hair's just down.
Yes.
But you know what? I have to say, in real life, people do that. Because I see people, like, when I used to go to the gym and people would have their hair down. And it drive me insane. I'm like, why are you just uncomfortable for the sake of being, just so you can look good?
Oh, at the gym they do that.
Everywhere.
You know what? Maybe they read those tips about how you're safer from, like... men who are going to try to kill you if you don't have a ponytail because they can grab your ponytail.
At the gym? They're just going to pull you off the treadmill?
Hey, killers are everywhere.
Holy moly. Well, that's another episode. Right now we're talking about, we just talked about flesh-eating diseases, and now we're going to talk about freshman year.
Which is worse.
Yeah, just as deadly.
Yes.
So we're going to actually talk about my freshman year, which is my freshman year of college.
I can't wait because I know little, and I'm excited to learn a lot.
Okay.
Set up the scene.
The scene is when we found out we were getting roommates. I don't know how they did it at your college, but I
did not live on campus.
Oh, okay. Oh, you didn't live on campus. Okay.
No, I had my own apartment. Where did you? Okay, so
you went to NYU.
Oh, exciting! In the big city.
Big city, really as far away from my home as I could.
Yes.
With being in the contiguous United States, and so they sent you like the name of the person and I guess the phone number.
Okay.
This was, back before,
texting.
Cell phones and texting and stuff. So I remember, so I met her name was Sharon. This was going to be my roommate.
Okay.
And
not Sharon, Sharon.
Sharon, it's Israeli.
I like it.
And so we just chatted a little bit. And then when we finally met, I remember her being extremely relieved that I was not a hot, pretty blonde girl because she assumed that someone from Los Angeles would be a hot, pretty blonde girl.
So she actually said that.
Yeah, she basically verbalized that. Like, thank God you're not hot.
Thanks.
This is going to go smashing. So,
yep, I'm less attractive than you imagined.
So,
I just wanted you to know, audience, that Danielle Koenig is gorgeous.
Yeah,
P.S.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So she was not a freshman. She was a sophomore. So I'm not really sure. Well, maybe it'll become clear why she didn't have already a roommate as the story goes on. But and we were there are gorgeous dorms at NYU.
Okay.
We were in the one that's not.
Okay.
The one that is literally cinder block. It's called Weinstein. Like, could you come up with an uglier name for a dorm?
Was it Harvey Weinstein's?
Oh, I never thought of that.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I never thought of that. It probably dates back before I don't know, not the construction. I don't know.
He was probably in his 60s back then. He's always been 60.
And he's always been repulsive.
Yes, forever. He was born a 60-year-old.
I mean, it wasn't like it was a film department. It was just the dormitory. But I suppose it's possible if he gave money to the school, which if he went to NYU, that's not a far. I don't know if he did. But
we'll
anyway.
look into it.
Okay.
So you were in a women's prison.
No. I was basically, it did actually kind of feel like a women's prison. It was very like echoey in the halls. And
okay.
We did have our own bathroom, which was huge.
Ooh.
So
not so common.
Not common at all.
With a shower and everything.
Yeah.
All right.
We had our own bathroom
Nice.
in our room, which was great. So strange things started happening.
Okay.
She was a little odd to begin with. She was very insecure and just a little weird.
Okay.
And it became, I would eventually learn that her father was a plastic surgeon and her mother was very beautiful.
This maybe sets up her whole comment.
Right. She, just insecurities and so there were her side of the room was just a mess. It was just filthy.
Okay.
Like I wasn't the neatest person in the world, but there would just be like wadded up money and stuff and like it was just strange.
Okay.
So then one day I woke up and she was in my face.
Uh-oh.
Her eyes were like inches away from my face.
Oh, that's frightening.
As I woke up.
Yeah. That's
a horror
you don't want
movie.
anybody's you don't want anybody's face in your face when you open your eyes.
And she said, "Good morning."
Oh my God. This is a horror
movie.
film.
So then, okay, do you know it doesn't really matter, but do you know the painter Klimt?
Yes.
Okay, so I had a Klimt, not the famous one of the man and the woman, but I had a Klimt poster.
Was it Mother and Child?
No, it was just a girl in like a white sort of party dress, but she's like a young girl and she's got a very serious look on her face and she has long straight brown hair. And
you had the requisite Klimt.
I had exactly
freshman.
Like what cliche thing am
they
I? What
hand them
box
out to
is
freshman
100%.
girls.
Yeah,
it's like you get
right.
3 Klimt to choose from.
Exactly, that's exactly right. So I picked that one, and I probably had it because it reminded me of myself or something. I don't know, whatever really deep thought I had about it. So just taped onto this cement wall.
Yes. To cover the little hole you were digging out with a spoon.
She was my Rita. It's not Rita Hayworth. Shit. Who is it in?
It is Rita Hayworth. Okay.
Yeah. So I was digging behind the little girl's face. So she's in your face. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And then one time she looked at the poster and she was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I am that girl, like that's me. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of a lot of little weird stuff.
It's getting a little single white female vibe.
Maybe a little bit. And then also like she's got some boy she has a crush on.
Okay.
So I'm hearing about that a lot, but I'm getting the feeling she doesn't really have a lot of friends, or she tells me that there are girls in the hallway in the dorm in the hall that she was friends with the prior year, but isn't friends with anymore.
Oops. Okay.
Something's gone. So there's a little history there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now I don't have a huge social life either. So,
well, you haven't been there a year.
That's true. But I'm saying I maybe was in my room more than I should have been in terms of, anyway.
Well, you're an inside person.
I am an indoor cat, or an indoor plant is what I said about
one cat.
Just one cat. Yeah. I said that the other day about Oliver. I was like, he's an indoor plant. So one day I look into our bathroom because, like I said, we had our own bathroom.
Okay.
And
my heart rate is going
What do you think
up.
I'm going to say?
You found like a chunk of something.
Hair.
Okay.
All over the bathroom.
Oh.
All over.
Like
not
like hair that came out while she was washing her hair.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? When you sometimes you find you're like some of your hair comes out when you're washing it.
My hair is. I literally find my hair like woven into fabric. I don't know how it happens.
It's everywhere.
Like every baby I've babysat has my hair in their diaper at some point. Like it's just, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Clumps of hair.
Oh no.
That she has cut off of her head.
Oh no.
On the ground. In the sink.
Oh God.
On the toilet.
Okay.
In the toilet. Tons of it.
Okay.
So I say, while I'm still staring at it, Sharon, because she's in her bed, which she was a lot. Sharon, you've cut your hair. She said, yeah. And I said, well, it's all over the bathroom. Mm-hmm. She said, yeah. I wanted it contained, but I didn't want it contained. And I'm like, okay.
That's a response.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound healthy.
Cutting off the hair is sort of a classic going cuckoo move. I mean, I can only imagine what it looked like her looking in the mirror, cutting off her hair and, doing some incantation or something. I mean,
it sounds like a cry for help.
It all was a cry for help. So, I mean, yeah. Now, look, I understand that this story kind of makes me sound like I'm making fun of someone with a mental problem, which I guess I am. But the point is that this is just how an 18-year-old had what an 18-year-old had to deal with, which is me not knowing anything and being thrown into you've just moved away from your family.
Yes.
You don't know anyone here, basically.
Yeah.
And you, of course, very on brand, get stuck with a crazy person.
Yeah.
A person who is not already crazy is going crazy.
She's
in
having
real time.
her own break.
She's having her break with reality. And
you're 18.
And I'm 18 and
you're
I'm front row ticket to it.
I don't know how to manage this.
Right.
Whatever this is.
Right. So, I mean, I recognized she was going crazy, but, what am I supposed to do with this? So, apparently manic depression comes out around this age.
Okay.
Right? So
a lot of things actually can. I think that it's also a time where schizophrenia, which I believe is more common in men, can also manifest around this time.
Oh, okay.
So that's,
Yeah, well, maybe she was schizophrenic. I don't know. I mean, well, you'll listen and you'll hear. But so
I'll diagnose when we get to the end.
Right.
My professional diagnosis.
So things are getting weirder and weirder.
Yes.
Staring at me with her weird, she had these beautiful blue eyes just kind of staring at me. And the poster and the hair, that was kind of like, oh boy. I can't
and
ignore
can I
this
ask
anymore.
about the haircut?
Yeah.
So she had long hair or...
It wasn't super long. It was curly, so it was like shoulder length.
And did she give herself a pixie cut? Did she shave her head?
No, it wasn't so much. It wasn't like as dramatic as
she just
shaving her head.
Chopped a bunch off and kind of.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where when I initially saw her in bed, I didn't see that there was a difference because it was curly and
she had a lot of hair.
So yeah, but it was enough that it was it was a statement on the floor. It was, so I think she eventually cleaned it up. I know I didn't, but. So I said something to the effect of you got to clean that up. So I think I started avoiding her a little bit more, as much as I could.
And maybe putting away some sharp objects.
Right. Yeah, good point. So one day, I'm coming down the hall. I should explain that our particular dorm was the very last one down the hallway.
Cool, far away from everyone and who can hear you yelling and screaming for help.
From the elevator and from everyone else.
God.
All the way down the hall.
Okay.
So as I'm coming down the hallway, one of these girls who had been friends with her said something like, I think in an earlier time, one of the girls had said something to me like, yeah, she's being a bitch. And I remember saying, she's not being a bitch. There's something wrong with her.
Aw, that's nice.
I think, or at least I thought it, but I think I said something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But you had compassion. That's nice.
So one of these girls stopped me and was like, so Sharon's in your room with, the campus security or an RA or something, and some shit's going down.
Okay.
And I was like, oh. And as I'm talking to her, she comes running out of the door down the hallway. She comes running out of my door down the hallway. And there's commotion.
Yes.
It's fucking crazy. And I think I went into someone else's dorm room for a second. And then I got a Marlboro Red cigarette. Because what else are you going to do in that situation?
I would have gotten a Marlboro Light, but
it was all I had. No, it was just someone, that's what they had.
Yeah. Take them, smoke them.
So I went to my dorm room.
Yes.
And I sat on the window ledge like a proper angsty 18-year-old.
Oh, I love it. So Winona Ryder.
It really is. And I smoked my Marlboro Red, freaking out that, the one person I knew the most at this school was having a mental breakdown.
Yes.
And then I hear her barreling down the hallway toward the room again.
Uh-oh.
And it was a horror movie. I'm like, did I lock the door?
Yes.
Did I fucking lock the door?
Oh, God.
So then I hear... She's
Were
trying
these
to
her
get
nails
in.
scratching at the door?
Yeah. She shot out nails. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like shaking.
Yeah.
And I hear the door like rattling. She was trying to get in. I had locked it and someone pulled her away. So
it's scary for everyone.
it's scary for all involved.
Yes.
So turns out they did drag her away, and she punched a cop.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So she was really out of
She was
out of her control.
So maybe it was more than. I mean, it felt like manic depression because of the way she was behaving. It was very up and down, and it seemed like classic bipolar or manic depression. I'm not sure if they're the same thing. I always forget if they're the exact same thing. But
I feel like it's one of those things where it used to be called one thing and now
then
it's
it became
called
bipolar.
the other.
Yeah, I think that's right. So anyway, eventually they tell me she's gone home to Chicago. Obviously she's having problems. She needs to get some help. And you'll just be by yourself in this room now.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a loner. That's fine. Not really helping with the whole I don't have a lot of friends situation, but all right, such as, and I'm calling my parents and they're like, my God, what do you do? You know, like this is crazy. And I'm like, I know, it's totally crazy. Like this is what happened.
Yeah.
So we have to pack up all her stuff, like me and the RA or someone.
Okay.
Have to pack up all her stuff. It might have, by the way, the RA of the whole building, or not the, I don't know what it's called when was John Fugelsang.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
That is so funny.
I had a crush on him every time I came in the door because he was this really cute guy and he was so sweet.
Yes.
And he would like check us in. He was the guy at the door. And I did not remember that because I have such a bad, horrible memory that it wasn't until years later when I had already known who John Fugelsang was that he said, remember I was the guy, and I was like, oh my God, you're John, the guy I just didn't put two and two together.
Yes.
So I don't know if it was him and
he probably had a crush on you too.
He 100% did not. But he was older, I should say, but not, I mean, you know, he was old enough to be the whatever of the dorm. So I'm not sure if it was he and I or if it was just the floor RA or whatever, but we had to pack up all her stuff. So we find wads of cash, like just crumpled up money. Because her dad was
That's how she stored money.
doctor.
She crumpled it up in balls.
So she had like a lot of spare money, I guess.
Yes.
And just like, you know, it was just shit everywhere. It was just like, you know, clothes and everything was a disaster.
Yes.
Then we found her notebooks. Why I felt it was okay to look in her notebooks, I have no idea. But I guess just curiosity got the better of me. So it's like...
Oh, I would have 1,000% read those notebooks. At that age, my moral compass too was like, oh yeah, I have a right.
So I think the font was Crazy Person font.
Okay.
It was like in loopy big handwriting.
Yes.
Like crazy.
That's also the girl's font.
No, but it was like every single part of the page is covered.
Yes.
Like no more like.
Okay.
And it was all about her and this guy, except for in the book, she had cast herself as the man and she had cast him as the woman.
Huh.
So there was a whole fucking thing going on.
Okay.
And
maybe that made her feel like she had more power in the situation.
Maybe. But I mean, we were witnessing a break. Like it was like, oh, if you study this years, you know what I mean? Like when you see Van Gogh's notebook or something and it's like, oh yeah, he's bananas. So, so we sent all the stuff home to her. And then they said, you know, she might come back eventually. And I was like, okay, great. So then I remember I was running. I went for a run on the track and someone said,
did you have your hair down?
I 100% did not have my hair down because that is a ridiculous fucking thing to do. Why anyone would exercise with their hair down. Oh, it's so aggravating to me. So someone comes up to me and says, Sharon's back. And I was like, okay, so this is the warning they give me.
Thanks for
like,
the heads
she's
up.
just here.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I go into the dorm and I'm not sure if this was John Fugelsang or someone else. They pulled me into the office and they're like, I don't think it was him. But they were like, so what are you going to say to her? And I was like, what am I going to say to her? This is up to me? Like, I have to break the ice? Like, don't you think you should, like, have a professional come in here and explain to me what I should say?
I'm not even studying psychology.
I know. I'm undeclared. God damn it. So they said, well, I said, I don't know. And they said, well, are you going to bring it up? And I said, well, no, I'm not going to bring it up. I said, if she wants to talk, I'll be 100% open to talking, but I'm not going to be like, so I heard you went fucking batshit.
Yes.
What was that all about? You know what I mean?
Explain yourself.
Right. So, like, anyway.
Adults.
So
really had it together back then.
So, I mean, imagine like you send your kid to college and this is
what they're supposed to deal with.
To put on
I'm basically a child.
Right. So a few years later, I did not return to school. Biggest regret of my life. But as you can see, it was not the most auspicious start. I was in Chicago.
Okay.
And I thought, I'll just give her a call, as I still had her number, her home number.
See how she's doing.
Just see how she's doing. So her mom answers. Hello? And I said, oh, hi, Mrs. Whatever. It's Danielle, Sharon's old roommate. I just want to see. Oh, hello, Danielle. I said, yeah, I just want to see how Sharon was doing. Good. She's not here right now. She's, tell me, have you ever heard of the Moonies? I'm not fucking kidding.
What?
She had joined the Moonies.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that is the perfect fucking ending. Of course, like,
The Moonies.
and the mother's just like, she's fine. I'm like, oh my God.
She's where she belongs.
She's where she belongs, with one of the original cults.
Wow.
Anyone too young to know, the Moonies were a cult, I think based out of New York, but originally, I think the guy was Asian or something. But funny story, just the other day, I was listening to Rachel Maddow, and she was talking about some crazy person who is sponsoring a rally for Trump still in 2021, at the end of 2021.
People are still doing that.
And he is the son of the founder of the Moonies.
Now, the Moonies aren't the ones that put on the tracksuits and all committed suicide.
No, because they're dead.
Yes.
No, those are the
Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate. Yeah, the Moonies go back farther. I don't know what their, principle is, but I'm sure it has to do something with
the Moonies
giving them
sound
your
like
money.
They sound like a band from the 60s.
Right.
That got their own TV show.
Exactly. But they were I think they did maybe start in the 70s or something. I think they've been, or they had at least at that point been around for quite a while.
Well, if she's ever left the Moonies, I would love for her to come on and talk about how to survive a cult.
Well, that's a really good point. I don't even remember her last name, which is, again, my bad memory. But yeah. So
we should do that episode too.
Yeah.
That is a great story, Danielle.
That's crazy, right?
Well, I hope she's doing okay.
I hope so too.
And I'm sorry that you had such a hard first year, but you know what? It gave us a great story.
It did. I survived I had a sense of humor about it somewhat. I did feel for sure put pressured on, like I was supposed to somehow figure out how to deal with this really unusual situation by myself.
Yeah.
But
you survived it.
I survived.
And it made you funnier, probably.
Yeah. I don't know how well she survived it, but I survived it okay.
Well, we're sending her love and light.
We'll be back with what we've learned.
Yes.
And also a word from one of our listeners.
We've got a fun story from one of our fans. Fans?
Right,
that sounds gross.
Listeners. Yeah, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get too big in our britches.
Welcome back to How to Survive with Danielle and Kristine. We are in the denouement section of our show.
Sauvage.
Yeah. After the climax.
Ooh.
Where we talk about things we learned today.
Yes.
Only pick up babies by their feet. Beware the society of peds.
Yes.
Whatever form that takes. Where the River Meets the Sea is on the Muppets 1979 holiday album, A Christmas Together. So I'm sure I'll be hearing that soon. Don't eat oysters off open surgery wounds. Now over to Kristine for a little news we got from our a fan of ours, a listener, we should say. First of all, Kristine, if people want to write to us,
yes,
they can do so at podcasthowtosurvive@gmail.com, right?
Yes, we love mail.
And then maybe they can get their little anecdote of what they survived on the air, as this listener is about to.
David L. Williams wrote us, and I'm very excited to share his harrowing story. Hi, Danielle and Kristine and Garen.
Little pause for...
AKA Garden Squirrel.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the podcast, and I saw your tweet on Danielle's Twitter feed looking for people who have survived a harrowing incident. When I was in first grade, I survived being run over by a school bus. I was leaving the school bus to walk to my home, which was on the other side of the road. My lunchbox spilled open, and I went down to pick up my Garfield thermos because, of course, I hated Mondays.
Oh.
And the bus started up and ran over my foot, stopped when a jogger frantically waved at the driver, and then backed up to let my foot free.
Oh.
And I survived, which I imagine is pretty obvious from the fact that I'm writing you this email 30 some years later. Don't know if that's of interest to you. Maybe you could pair it with someone being thrown under the bus in that cliched reality show way. Even if you can't use it, I'm excited for the next show and so glad I learned about it from Never Not Funny. Best,
Aww.
David L. Williams.
David L.
I think also being thrown under the bus is a great idea for a show because
we may have to.
I think we've all been thrown under the bus.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Oh my God. Of course.
I mean, narrow it down to one time.
Right. But that story is insane.
Right.
His little foot. Can you imagine a whole bus over a first grader's foot?
6 or 7-year-old David's foot.
Oh,
but now he's thriving and tweeting and emailing and just living his best life.
Yeah. He can't do it with his foot, but
no. His foot is just a club.
Yeah. It's a literal club. Yeah. It's not club foot. He's got a club attached to his foot.
Yeah,
his like foot, a golf club.
I forgot to mention his foot was amputated and replaced with a club.
MRSA?
He contracted MRSA.
Thank God for that jogger.
Right?
My God.
That jogger's a hero. I hope he sends that jogger flowers every year.
Yeah.
And that she also did not have her hair down.
The wheels on the bus go crunch, crunch, crunch. That is so. I would never get on a bus again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe or like or however your podcast platform demands that you listen to us on a regular basis.
Whatever it does. And also, if you could leave a review
for
us at said platform, that would be hugely appreciated.
Knees.
And we're just having a blast doing the show, and we're so glad that you guys seem to be digging it too.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. We'd love to hear from you on the social media at Pod How to Survive on Twitter and Instagram. And also, you can send us an email, podcasthowtosurvive@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your survival stories or just say hello. All right. Talk to you later.